Discuss a new topic, that is concept of development. Development refers to growth as well as those changes in behavior which result from environmental stimulation. It means development is the result of growth as well as change in behavior of an individual. Behavior changes happens in an individual as a result of environmental stimulation. When the individual interacts with the environment, he learns new things that act as a force for his behavioral change. Behavioral changes are happens through natural as well as intentional. Intentional behavioral changes occurs through training process. So we can say that development is growth plus change in behavior. And development is regarded as changing organism as a whole. That is, we know development is the wholesome change of an individual. That is, different aspects of individual get changed. That is why it is regarded as a change in the organism as a whole. Next point is development is the process of functional and physiological maturation of the individual. It is a process of functional and physiological maturation of the individual. What is the functional maturation? Maturation pertains to the process of becoming mature. It is the process of becoming mature. Maturation is the process of becoming mature. A mature organism is one that has completely grown and developed for any functional state. Such functional maturation and physiological maturation constitute the development of an individual. Here, the physiological maturation means physical maturity of the individual. That is the growth of an individual. The normal growth of the individual and its functional maturity together constitutes the development of the individual. And the next point, it is the progressive increase in skills and capacity to function. It should be noted that while developing, there is an increase in the capacity to perform the skill and the capacity to function. Increase in skills and capacity to function is the result of development. It is happens through the process of development. And development includes psychological, emotional, and social stages. Why it includes psychological, emotional, and social changes? We know development is the change of different aspects of individual. The different aspects includes psychological, emotional, social, motor, etc. And all these different aspects become developed during the process of development. There is a change in these different aspects during development process. We already learned growth is a quantitative process. Here we can say that development is a qualitative process. And next we move to the principles of development. The first principles of development is Development is a product of interaction. Development is a product of interaction. During our lifetime, we have to face lot of different environmental conditions, and we have to interact with different persons. We have to face different problems. The result of this interaction is change in behavior. We learn new things from the interaction with others and with the environment. As a result, the behavior of a person is changed. It may be positive or negative, but the result is change in behavior. The change in behavior plus growth constitute a development of an individual. So we can say that development is a product of interaction. And the next principle is development is a continuous process. Development is a process which begins from the moment of conception in the womb of mother and goes on continuing till the time of death. Even though it is a continuous process, we can expect some developmental task in different stages, but we cannot accurately demarcate each stages like infancy from childhood, childhood from adolescence, etc. Because sometimes we can see that there is a marked individual difference in the developmental task of the individual with the same age group. That is why it is difficult to accurately demarcate different stages of an individual during his life process. But we can say that it is a continuous process. It starts from the time of conception and it ends at the time of death. And the next principle is development follows an orderly sequence. Individual shows high degree of similarity in the order in which various development appear. That means all children learn to stand before they walk. All children, it is a universal truth. All children stand before they walk. And the same time, the same thing happening in the speech development or the language development. They are learn syllables before they begin to speak. It is a natural process. That is why we can say that development follows an orderly sequence. It is from general pattern of response to the specific ones. For example, an infant shows its happiness by total body expression. But when he grows older, he responds with a smile. He expresses his happiness through the smile. He need not, he realized that it is not necessary to express his happiness by the total body expression. Likewise, the infant moves the whole hand first, then only the fingers. If he want to pick something from the ground, the infant use his entire hand to hold that object, but he learn to use his 3 or 2 fingers to pick up that object from the ground. And next point is different aspects of development are interdependent. Development in various domains like social, physical, intellectual, etc. are interrelated and interdependent. Child's early social behavior is interrelated with his physical development. If the child is physically handicapped, then his social behavior will be retarded. If a child who has sound health is generally found to be intellectually and socially active. So the social development dependent to the motor development. Likewise, physical development depend to the intellectual development, etc. So we can say that the different aspects of development are interdependent. Next one, development is an individualized process. Every individual has his own rate of development. If we analyze the behavior of children belong to the same age group, we can see that there is a vast difference in their social and emotional development. It is because of the individual difference and also because of the influence of the environment in which they live. And next one, each stage of development has its traits. Though individual differences exist, all individuals are seem to pass through the same stages of development in the order. At each stage of development, some traits develop rapidly and clearly than others. For example, certain stages of development are universally found to be reflect undesirable forms of behavior. It is universally applicable. Certain developmental stages have certain traits. Even though there is some difference between the individuals, but there is a similarity in the trait of certain stages and it is universally applicable. Our next principle is development is cumulative. This indicates that the earlier development acts as a base for the later development. It acts as a basis for the further development. The developmental characteristics of first year act as a base for the developmental characteristics of the second year. That means each prior knowledge, prior growth and prior development is act as a base for the further development of the individual. And development is predictable. The rate of development in particular aspect shows some predictable pattern. We can observe some predictable pattern in the developmental process of each and every individual. There may be some changes, but there is a predictable pattern in each individual. We can predict the developmental task of 1 year. We can predict the developmental task of 5-year-old child. So this knowledge help an individual, help a teacher to prepare his lessons for the betterment of the children. He can prepare his lesson based on the development of the development of the student. And the last one is development depends on heredity, environment, maturation and learning. The first point we discuss, development is the product of interaction. There is a constant interaction between the environment and individual. And at the same time, the individual have some inherent potentialities. It get through heredity from his parents, and this heredity and the environment depends on the development of a particular individual. At the same time, maturation is also depends on the development. Maturation is the unfolding of trait inherent in the individual, and this unfolding of traits takes place in the individual without any special training. It is a natural process. The maturity is the natural process of unfolding of the inherent potentialities in an individual. Whereas learning is the modification of behavior through training process or through the experiences. It needs some training or it needs some experiences. So, the development of an individual depends upon all the four factors like heredity, environment, maturation, and learning. That is the last principles of development. Okay, thank you.